got it all pegged up. As you can see, I scratched some lines in here where I'm gonna cut through, slice this so I can fold it out for the stitch down portion. I'm just measuring these based on the other shoe, and the other shoe I did by lining up the line directly with where this part ends. It's a kind of an arbitrary thing. I think you kind of want to do it right at the apex of this curve. So that lines up pretty well with where that piece sits. And then I just did it with this piece on the other side too, so it would be even, because those are pretty even. So those two are even. I'll do the stitch down starting there. Just kind of marked it up. And then all of these, I didn't make the same mistake I made last time, hopefully. We'll see when I come to take the last out, but I just did this all by hand with the awl. My hand is really red right now from pushing it on there. But yeah, and then hammered those in. And then, so what I'm gonna do now, you can see, like, I got it down pretty flat actually. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm a little worried these ones right here are going to show when I put the midsole on. I can always paint them black and kind of, they are going to get sanded a little bit though. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this shank. You can get steel shanks or wood shanks, or I don't know, they might make brass shanks, but this is a steel shank that I bought, the same place I bought the pegs. I forget what it was called, but I think I mentioned it in an earlier video. But you can buy steel shanks on eBay. Basically, this is meant to curve with the inside of the boot. The one thing I do regret is that I didn't take a photo of where exactly I put the shank on the first boot. I think it was like about here. I don't think it'll matter all that much. Basically, you want to make sure like part of it goes underneath the heel, just so like it catches underneath the heel, because this is meant to be the support of the arch of the shoe so it doesn't collapse. But I have some wood shanks, but for these boots, they're heavier duty, so I'm going to do steel shanks. I'm going to use the wood shanks on more of my slippers and stuff. But I'm going to take barge cement, and then I'm going to glue that in there. Some people will take and stitch across, like poke holes in this and stitch across. That's more for when you're doing a welt, since you already have the holes and you're already like stitching things. I think just to hold it in there. I'm gonna do it fine with glue. And then you could trim out all this too if you wanted to, but I'm not gonna do it just because I'm gonna sand it down. I'm gonna see how it goes with that, and I'm gonna fill in the blank spaces with cork. So no matter what, you're gonna be filling the blank spots. I don't think it matters that much if it's leather or cork. It's still gonna kind of shape to your foot. I could be very wrong on that. So, you know, do your own thing. But I have these sheets of adhesive cork. It has an adhesive back. It's pretty thin. It's gonna take a few layers to do that. But in general, this area is not too deep. So the other cork I have is kind of too thick for that, so I can't really put the thick cork in there. Some people have like this like weird cork paste, like, here's more layers of this weird like cork slurry paste that they use, and I have no idea where that comes from or how they make it or where they get it, so I don't have it. But that looks nice because they just sand down and just fill it in, and it just makes a perfectly flat thing that's all filled in. So yeah. That's what I'm going to do next, and then as soon as I get that glued in there and dried, I'm going to hit it with the belt sander to try to just really flatten this out in preparation of taking this pre-cut midsole and popping it right on here, and we're going to peg that in. This is, I think, the wrong structure thing. Yeah, so I'm gonna get that on there, glue that on, peg that on, and then stitch down to it. I was hoping, I bought these pre-cut, I was hoping they would be a little bit bigger, but as we're gonna see later, it doesn't really matter that much because almost dropped that shit. Almost dropped my Dremel. My desk my workspace is a mess. Anyway, I don't know where the day-night sole went, but the day-night sole is actually smaller than this, narrower right here. So, I'm hoping I'll be able to stitch properly. Here it is. So, midsole, day-night sole. I got a Vibram sole too. This is the same stuff. And you can see there's like that little bit of like space right there. And I was like, oh, the Vibram sole's too narrow. I got to buy a day-night sole. And so I bought a day-night sole and I waited a week. And then the day-night sole showed up and it was even narrower than the Vibram sole. But you can see it's based on how wide my last is. It's just really close to being the exact same width as the shoe right there in the center, which is going to be hard in terms of stitching into it. I'm pretty worried in terms of how that's going to work. Worst case scenario, I guess, is that I poke a bunch of holes and I try to stitch it on to this, and then I have to go back and rip it off and use a leather sole instead if I can't get it to work right with the thickness of the width of this last. But I'm hoping I'll be able to figure it out. I'm going to glue it and hope for the best, because I'd really like these to be a more rugged boot, as we've talked about multiple times, which would involve having a rubber sole instead of a leather sole. So yeah, I don't know, you guys don't need to see me glue. The glue comes out, has a glued shut, has a brush. I brush it in to the spot. I stick the thing in, the shank in, balance it as best I can. And that's that. And then I just rip the cork up and put it in as best I can. So I'll be back after I do that.